you should see success. You should see a different approach in the way that you're messaging. You can't just rip 1,000 emails a day and hope for the best, because there's no other way to do that.
Thanks for joining, first of all, Tom, for our social selling ebook together with HubSpot. Tom Slocum, you are the cold calling king. I know that you have helped us in a lot of sessions with our own sales team so far. And you're also the founder of SD Lab, so check that out. First question from our side would be, the traditional selling techniques are becoming obsolete by this minute. So what's your take on modern selling?
Yeah. So, as you mentioned, right, the traditional sales methods that we were accustomed to for so long, spamming, sending thousands of emails out, just ripping through phones and just calling people, very cold and out of the blue. It's all kind of, it's not dying, but it is evolving, right? And these methods are no longer as effective as they used to be. You can't just rip 1,000 emails a day and hope for the best. You're now going against spam, filters, email deliverability. Cold calls are getting more, limited with phones and technology, labeling you as spam. And so what you're seeing now is this transition into, this modern day version of selling, which is a couple things. One, you're seeing social content, social selling blowing up, where you are now able to amplify yourself to hundreds of folks through, posting on the various social channels. You've got people jumping over to TikTok. You've got people on LinkedIn. You've got people on Instagram and Twitter. And it's just great because you're able to take, this main problem you solve for or how you want to help prospects and post it to social content, and that can be amplified versus sending out 1,000 emails or trying to make a ton of phone calls. You can lean into social. You've also got relationship building, where you're now kind of seeing word of mouth and referrals take this transition and move into what they call a near bound go-to network type of method, where now people are focusing on the relationship. Because you got to realize, back early 90s, 80s, you had a lot of people picking up the phone, getting information to prospects because there's no other way to do that. Now, information is at your fingertips. And so now buyers are looking for relationships more than they are, by the time they get to Surfe, and come to you guys, right? Like, I already know Surfe, maybe. I already know the tool. Maybe I've heard about some things. I've done some research. Now I want to come connect with you guys and maybe make a relationship with the seller or find out what the differentiators are versus the competitors. I don't need to go and get, information from you per se anymore. So you're seeing going to network, relationship building, you're seeing social selling amplifying, and you're seeing people take a quality over quantity approach, where now they're diving into being very targeted, trying to find those warmer leads that aren't so cold by leveraging an intro or referral, or getting into, a way to come with pre-backed research. Hey, David, I've seen that you're doing this, or they're trying to go bottom up by working with some people in the org, learn about it before they get to that decision maker. So you're not just coming in completely cold and blind, just saying, hey, David, I'm reaching out to you just because you're a name on a list. Would you be interested? They're now coming with, backed with ammo and research. So that's where you're seeing this kind of transition happen, that people are kind of getting a lot more in depth with how they reach out.
I remember when we were coaching our sales team, because, our generation, we didn't grow up by picking up the phone and calling. So that's why it was quite interesting. It's so simple, but I didn't think about this before. It's because we grew up with messaging. We grew up with a social network. So that's why I saw recently a poll where number 2 after cold calling was LinkedIn and not emailing, for instance, which was also interesting, because how do we buy nowadays products? It's based on our peers, as you said, and it's via our social networks. So LinkedIn is clearly one of them. So yeah, cool. Next question, second question. Can you break down the F.E.T.C.H social selling method for us?
So what F.E.T.C.H is a social selling play for folks that may not know how that play works or how to even get into social selling. And so F is for follow, E is for engage, T is for track, C is connect, and H is help. So what you want to do when you're trying to make this social play from a seller aspect, this is when you're actually trying to target some people for, your product, you're going into selling and you see that there might be a lane here for you to, maybe get a discussion with this person. You start with the follow. You would come in, let's say you're looking at some top influencers. You look at some things that, are in your market that content might make sense. And you go into comments, maybe you see somebody that you'd like to stir up a conversation with, click the follow button. Simple as that. You get on their radar. From there, you engage in a few things over like a couple days, right? You're going to let their post, see if they have any activity, maybe go follow their comments. A lot of times you see reps just focus on post, but you should also be looking at their comment history because you can follow them and kind of see where they're engaging, like their comments. You just kind of want to get on their radar that like you're kind of raising your hand. From there, track that, kind of pay attention to what's happening. See, if you could get a conversation started with them in the comments. Then you move into the connect mode. Once you've done that, they kind of get on their radar. You're doing a low ask of just a follow. Then you hit them with a connect. Now you're going to actually hit that connect button, tell them you've been following their content, that you'd really like to make that relationship a little bit more official. And then you move into the help. So once you connect, now, based on what you've seen through their content, right, kind of following them, how can you help them? Because again, you want to do more depositing than you are doing withdrawing within your prospects, right? They're always being asked and they always have burdens put on them by hundreds of reps every single day. You are not the only one. And if, in your own world, you think you are, but David, right, for example, you get 15 emails that say the same thing every day. You get 5 people cold calling you, asking you for 30 minutes. And it's hard to decipher who do I actually give my 30 minutes to if I have it, right? Because if I just gave it to everybody, I wouldn't have a job. So with F.E.T.C.H, it's just ability to follow them, engage with them, connect with them, and then find a way to get in there based on what you've been watching and following with them. How can I help? Are there gives? Are there free things that don't break the bank for me, but would be able to help them and build that trust with them, right? Because all you want to do is build trust and credibility here. So how do I jump in there and, maybe give a guide that walks them through something I've been seeing in their content? You're talking about social selling and a lot of your content. If I'm a social selling product, I might follow you around and then, try to connect with you and try to find out what's important to you, and then try to offer support and guidance in maybe helping you with that. Hey, David, seeing you've been talking a lot about social selling and getting your team up to speed on that. Here's an e-guide that I made for others that are looking to jump into social selling. Hope you take a look at it. I think step 2 and 3 is where your team might be getting hung up on. That's where a few others do. Let me know if you find value in that, right? And then there's like a building block in the way that you connect, by the way. And when you message, there's the buyer's view of how you're going to write your note to them or your message. And there's 4 pieces to it. Why me? Pique curiosity, put them at ease, present your give. So that's the 4 pieces to your social message. Once you do connect and you do want to reach out, just show in your messaging, why me? Why are you reaching out to me? Pique my curiosity, put them at ease where you're like, hey, this is what others are doing, or this is why, this is how they're, accomplishing this. Put them at ease that their space and their persona well, and then present your give and ask them kind of like a permission-based opener. David, do you mind if I send that your way?
Do you combine that also with cold calling? So after this message, or even instead of this message, that you directly cold call them, or that would be too early?
So you then bring in what I call the tab cold calling method. What I'll do is at least give it a day. So I'll shoot the social message. Let's say I followed, I dropped out a couple pieces of their content, dropped a couple comments. Now I reach out and I connect, and then they accept. I then shoot that note and I give it about 24 hours. Then what I'll do is I'll pick up that phone, right? And then get into cold calling them the next day and say, hey, David, just, I know that LinkedIn can get overwhelming. I just want to let you know that I dropped you a guide based on the content that I've been seeing from you. I think could really be of quick value for you. Let me know when you get a chance to look at that. I would love to hear your thoughts. Otherwise, I'll give you another call soon. Talk soon. And so, we try to use the TAB method, which is another framework of mine, which is trust, authority, and brevity. So you're bringing in trust, right? Trying to build that trust from out the gate. You're bringing in the authority of, why am I again, put me at ease. Who are you? Why do you have the authority to even call me or tell me about this? And then brevity, being very short, being quick with it. You're not trying to pitch. You're not trying to sell. You're just trying to have a conversation and try to be as much helpful as you can be to, you, David, just build trust and credibility with you as, hey, I'm in your world. I know what you're kind of going through. Here's a couple things I can do to help you. Is this something that's even on your radar or even a priority at this point? Which it kind of should be, because if you're following the F.E.T.C.H and you're kind of paying attention to the interactions that are happening, you should be kind of pretty lukewarm in like, hey, this is clearly something that's going on here for them, or they're probably experiencing it too. Here's how I can help.
Okay. So for you, there's a coexistence of social selling and cold calling. So you combine these two methods, the F.E.T.C.H and the TAB method. What can we expect out of these two methods together? And is there something missing, or is there a third method, or you always go for these two methods?
No, it's usually these two methods, right? You obviously add in email, right? You could throw in email in there, and start using that methodology too, and try to look at ways to write your emails. But you could just social sell and cold call and find success if you just want to stay away from email. The issue is you just got to be careful with your who you're reaching out to on social, because they do got to be active, right? And it does have to depend on your ICP, your buyer persona. You could go through a lot of profiles and they're not active. But what you can expect is if you were to find people that are very lukewarm on social, they are active, they are posting, and you're following that F.E.T.C.H method, and you're coming in, picking up the phone, and you approach all of that with the mindset that, how do I support the hero's journey for my prospect? Because again, if I'm reaching out to David, a sales leader, which is what I reach out to, how can I support sales leaders and help them get to where they want to go to every day? They're dealing with a lot. They're trying to empower their teams. They're trying to do things in 2023, 2024 with this outbound that it could be challenging. They don't need me asking for 30 minutes of their time or pushing them my product or services. What they could use, though, is just insight, help, maybe things that could just lift them up and find small wins within their team rather quickly. And through that, they'll get that trust and credibility. And then when the time does come, they're like, hey, Tom, I want to work with you. How can we do something? Because what you've been sending me just for fun and just out of the kindness of your heart has been helping the team. Would love to dive deeper into that, right? So combining those two methods and really focusing on in them, how do I support the hero's journey? How do I support my prospect and get them to, reach the goals they want? You should see success, right? You should see a lift in what you're doing today. You should see a different approach in the way that you're messaging. And you'll start winning in kind of this modern day selling where people already have information. You don't got to give it to them anymore. It's not the 90s, like you said before, like we're not picking up the phone to relay information anymore. That's already there. What we're trying to do now is build trust and credibility, build a friendship with some folks, and try to help them. And then from there, they'll want to work with you further.
Okay, great. Thanks a lot for answering the 5 fire question. Thanks a lot also for the ebook. I think you will find more info about these, especially 2 methods in the ebook. Otherwise, get sure you follow Tom Slocum and on LinkedIn and or SD Lab. Because I know you share always a lot of postings, especially about use cases and how you do things. And there's a lot of webinars, I think, to follow from your side. Thanks a lot for your participation. And cool. See you soon, Tom.
See you soon. Thank you.